It's the run to the line. Workman's off the track. He's got all 4 Michelin's over the white line. He's defending.
Everything interesting happens off the racing line.
Welcome back to Off the Racing Line. I am your host, Carlos Espitia, and with me, as always, is Mike Moore. Mike, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Getting ready for fall to come, although those cool temps coming to South Florida, so it'll only be 89 instead of 94, so track season is upon us.
I know. I can't wait, except for the snowbirds. But they bring their racing cars, so it's always nice to have them here.
There you go.
Episode 15, man.
We made it.
Who would have thought?
I mean, I felt pretty good about, getting to 3 or 4, but now 15. We're gaining momentum. And
does it feel like we're getting the wind under our wings?
It does. The show gets, hopefully our audience agrees that the show gets better every week. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I'd like to believe so. And we're having a good time.
I like to think that it's a matter of just getting like the right guest in here and maybe asking the right questions, getting some good stories. As long as we're doing that, I think that's pretty much the job, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of having interesting guests, let me do the introduction for our guest today. Our guest today has been racing since 1974, back when SCCA was the only game in town. He's competed in the legendary 12 Hours of Sebring, co-driven with names like Randy Pobst, and took third in a BMW Club Racing National Championship. He has spent 50 years turning wrenches at Redline Bimmer, a shop he now owns and operates. And today, he also serves as the president of the BMW CCA Everglades chapter. Few people have seen the sport evolve as much as he has from the inside. As a racer, mechanic, and a leader in the BMW community, Rennie Bryant, welcome to the program, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How you feeling?
Good. How about you?
Not too bad, man.
That was quite the introduction. You've seen it all.
Yeah, I've been here doing this for a while.
Very good.
It's funny. Before every show, we have a call that I do with our guests, and we go over sort of some topics, and they tell me essentially their story, their motorsport story. And Rennie's no exception when I say that I was surprised, how much he's actually done. I know that you've been around for a long, long time. Like when I first started in this game, I met Rennie at his shop, and I saw pictures of him, like black and white pictures, like not black and white, just faded, very faded color pictures. And I was like, okay, this cat has seen some stuff. But as we're going through our phone call, I was like, damn, like I didn't realize you had done the 12 hours of Sebring. That's pretty
well, we built
cool.
that car out of a 320 that we bought partially done, and then we finished it off and ran Miami Grand Prix first in '83, which was the first one. We ran on Saturday before it rained, and then we took it to Sebring, and we had the engine, the transmission, the wheels, the tires. If we'd have broken something, we were done. But we were in the whole 12 hours. It was great. We were running out of gas toward the end, and people were like, "Oh, you're still running? Oh, here, take this gas." It was great.
So we're going to get into the 12 hours in a little bit. I want to jump into your mechanic story, from mechanic, to master technician, 50 years under the hood, particularly working in BMWs, on BMWs mainly.
Pretty much, yeah.
What has changed the most in working on BMWs over the year?
The electronics.
Oh, yeah?
No doubt about it. I mean, beginning, the most complicated electronics are in the radio. And now you got full width touch screens, and they can pull up any information you want, any data you want. You can watch TV, you can do whatever you want to do, and that's not anything like we used to have.
As a non-hardcore BMW person myself, I have heard that sort of the heyday of BMW was somewhere shortly after the 2000s, and since then, lately they've just gotten to be overcomplicated, no longer really that ultimate driving machine. Do you agree with that assessment?
I do.
Okay.
Really, the last one that we tell is the E46 series.
And
that was the last easy to maintain, great car, drove great.
And for us greatly uneducated BMW people, that is the year up through 2006?
Yeah, well, that's the last.
See, look at that. I'm learning something.
2002 to 6 or 2001?
Actually, 2000.
Yeah.
to 2006. They were great. The E90s were pretty good too. That's the one that followed on to that from 06 to 11. Those are okay, but then you start getting way more complicated.
Way complicated, way heavier.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up because it was actually on my bullet points here as far as, what you would consider the golden era
Yeah.
of BMW. What do you think that was, that golden era?
Well, like you were saying, probably in the early 2000s, you had the E46, the E39, the E38, all great cars. And then the follow-on to the E38 was the 7 Series, the E65 and the E66. They're terrible.
So what went wrong?
Bean counters, I think.
The what?
The bean counters.
Oh,
the
the
factory
accountants.
said, you got to make this cheaper. And
Yeah.
they tried to do too much with what they had. We got to be better than Mercedes. That's always the thing. We got to be better than them.
Yeah.
We got to have the first V12. We got to have this. We got to have that. So they went overboard with a lot of that stuff.
Gotcha.
Do you see BMW heading in the right direction or the wrong direction?
I think they're coming back around.
Yeah.
I see the M2, which is a great car, and I see that, and I see and some of the new, not project cars, but show cars, and they're starting to come back around to the regular way of thinking. The other thing that I don't like on the newer ones is the electronic power steering, the electric steering. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel BMW like at all.
I drove one of those. I think it was the M2 that I drove, and it felt funny.
And I think my guess is that that's just like an enthusiast thing, right? Because in the Porsche world, they will tell you that everything post 2012, when they got rid of the true hydraulic steering, it's become numb and blah, 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 blah. I mean, the truth of the matter is it's still exponentially better than 95% of the cars out there. But when you get those purists, again, air-cooled, right? There will people tell you that Porsche hasn't made a great car since they went from air-cooled. So every generation is sort of going to have their own complaint about whatever the latest and greatest technology is.
That 2012 was the same break for us, really, when we went to the newer cars. What I don't like is it feels on-center. It feels like it wants to be on-center all the time. Small inputs just wants you to go back to center.
So you've we talked a little bit, like I mentioned over the phone, about where you started. You're coming up in the motorsports world. In terms of Redline, you now owned it.
You already have. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. My partner Ned back in the day, and now his son Tim.
Okay, so silly question, but I always wonder about these things. What's like one of the dumbest things you've seen a customer come in, a problem that a customer brought to you?
There's a list.
How long is this show? Hey, we're running out of
one.
All right, I'll give you one. This lady comes in with I think it was a 5 Series of some kind, and we did some brake work on it and some other stuff, and the wheels were horrible. They were just black as this shirt. I said, well, we did a lot of work in this lady's car. Let's wash it up for her. So we washed it. We cleaned the wheels. Car's looking nice. She comes in, pays the bill. What did you do with my wheels? Well, what do you mean? No, my wheels are black. Those wheels are silver. What did you do with my wheels? You stole my wheels.
Oh my!
She was proud of her brake dust.
Yeah.
Wow.
She had no idea that they weren't supposed to be black.
Well,
It's amazing.
She must have not bought the car new or just forgot
I
over
don't know,
time.
man, but that was one of the weirdest ones.
Did she demand to have them black again?
It took me 15 minutes to convince her that those were actually her wheels.
Yeah. Did she then ask where she can get them powder coated?
No, she wasn't up on it that much, but
Yeah.
she didn't get this. See, all the other cars out here, see, they all have silver wheels? Your car does too. Oh.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. This is a BMW owner?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a broad spectrum of, it doesn't matter what brand, right? There are
That's true.
there are people that drive around that don't even know what model car it is.
Yeah.
Right? They see it as transportation from point A to point B. They walked into a dealer one day and said, "Oh, look at this pretty car. It's got a nice color interior," and they made their entire purchase decision off of that. So,
Yeah.
That's how the old lady ends up with the M3.
right, exactly, yes, right.
Let's transition over to the 12 hours at Sebring and
Okay.
you racing that. Talk to me a little bit about that experience and maybe the evolution of that race as you've seen it over the years.
Well, the first one I ever went to was in 1970 with a friend of mine's dad and him. I didn't even drive there. He drove us there. And I've been to every one since. So
Okay.
I've seen a lot of different stuff. It used to be there was a lot of, back in the day, like backyard builders like us. You know, we bought that 2002, we built it, and nobody told us we couldn't go to the 12 Hours of Sebring, so we did.
Right.
You know, we had the Webers on it, and I drove, and Axel and Mike Guido drove, and we just kept turning laps. The thing was bulletproof. One thing was pretty funny was on the back straight back when that was on the 5.1 mile course, so it was way longer than it is today. And somehow or another, I got in front. Peter Gregg was just going to pass me in the Porsche when the full course yellow came out, so he couldn't pass me. So we're out in the back where nobody can see, and he comes up next to me and he goes, "Go," because he wasn't going to sit behind me the whole time.
Right.
Because back then, you know, I thought you had to slow down for yellow, not in that car. You're just going as fast as it would go the whole time. Nobody noticed.
So I'm surprised, you know, I think watching that race now, you just see some supercars and you know, some professional teams. You're saying that back then you could just show up and race it?
Yeah.
Anybody?
We did it. Bob Speed Products brought their Maverick. I mean, there were guys from Central Florida in a Camaro, I remember. Guys would bring Porsches, and they would just run like SCCA one weekend and then come over and run the 12-hour.
So,
well, they started, I think, 83 cars in that race.
yeah.
I mean, they went from one bridge all the way down the road around the corner, and now they start 40.
Right. Okay, so that's probably one of the big changes that
yeah.
you've seen over the years. It's mostly professional teams now.
Right. Oh, it's all professional teams. There's no amateurs out there anymore.
What else have you seen changes as far as the evolution goes?
Well, obviously the cars are faster.
Yeah.
There's a lot more money being spent. I mean, like I said, we used to do it ourselves. You can't do that anymore. You need $500,000 to go out there and run now.
We were there not long ago with Farah running one of our events, and somebody was saying something, it was anecdotally, about how that one race, the 12 hours, basically generates enough revenue for that track for the year. Do you think that's true?
I don't think that's true.
No?
No. Well, NASCAR owns the track now, you know.
Right.
Well, the lease on the track. You can't own the track. You can only lease it from the Sebring Airport Authority.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it runs all year. There's SCCA, there's FARA, there's testing,
Everybody.
there's all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah, everybody runs it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And what was you mentioned the track configuration? How it's now? How back in the day it was
Right.
5.1. I know that the hairpin by the hotel used to go
Yeah.
much further. What are the other significant track changes? Where were they?
Mostly on the back straight,
Right.
where 16 is now.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be way down on the other end.
Interesting.
You'd go around the restaurant at the airport, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because people would sit on the patio in the airport and watch the cars go by.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they just shortened it up this way, mostly to get it off of the active runways.
right.
Because the FAA would have a cow whenever they had to go out and have a race. Oh, you have to shut down the airport. So they made it now so it doesn't matter.
That makes sense.
And the other changes is from 14, 15, they put that in when they ran the FIA supercars there. Like the McLaren F1 and the Mercedes GTR, they put that little squiggle in before you get to 16. That didn't used to be there.
Gotcha.
So it was, I
Well, they
imagine.
also took out my favorite corner, which is the Green Park chicane.
And where was that?
That was, you come out of the hairpin and you go down, what is it, a quarter mile or so, and you make that, there's a little squiggle to the right.
Right.
That used to be, you had to turn right and left. There was no going through there flat.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Out there where the club course pit entrance is.
Exactly. I used to make all kinds, I had a neon factory car, an ACR, and I used to make all kinds of time in there. Because it was front drive, so you could just pound on it.
So it sounds like it used to be maybe a little bit of a wild, wild west, back in the day.
Oh,
Not so
yeah.
much anymore.
No, not so much on the racing side. Still on the spectator side.
Yeah.
It's not as crazy as it used to be, because we used to have some real fun over there back in the day. But
Tell me what it was like racing with some of these legends that you've raced with. You mentioned Randy Pobst.
yeah,
What was that like?
he's a really, truly nice guy. And we had a good time. It's like, hey, you want to go do this? Sure. When I was racing, I had a Mini. I had the 49th Mini built. The factory gave me to race it for 2 years, and there was a 12 hours of Homestead. So I called him up and said, hey, you want to race this? Sure. Will you buy me dinner? Yeah, it's cheap because he's a vegan, so it was easy. And so he came down and ran, and my other friend, Catesby Jones, came, and we all ran. And I think we ended up finishing 6th overall in a 12-hour race. With the car, it took 5 minutes to fill it because it had a stock fuel filler. But he and Casey were out there trading hot laps. They were burning a set of tires off the car in 45 minutes. Wow. Off the front, anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit about, we talked about the SCCA being really the only game in town back in the 70s, early 80s. What was that like then? And then how have you seen maybe the changes in the sport as some of the new clubs have, come in?
It was back, it was much bigger back then. We'd
Really?
get 100, 200 cars. We'd have 2 nationals a year at PBIR and run maybe 6 or 8 races a year. And it was the whole thing was a lot more friendly back then, I think, because we'd have a beer party every Saturday night, and everybody would come. Everybody that raced, all the corner workers, the whole thing. We met, 100 people there, maybe more. And it's tapered off as the sport is expensive, obviously, unless people have the ability to do it. So the main thing I've seen is smaller numbers and smaller people, smaller crowds.
And do you think part of that is also because there are just more organizations doing it, so it's a little bit more spread out, or do you think that the overall volume of participants is just down?
I think the overall volume of participants is down.
All right, so it's probably between the two things, with the overall number of participants being down and the number of avenues that you can do it, it's probably has really hurt.
Right.
When you go to the average event now, if there's 30 cars because there used to only be 4 players in town, and now there's 8 players in town.
Yeah, I mean, that line of thinking, maybe it's just more spread out, because the sport is gaining more popularity. In terms of HPDE, there's podcasts like this. We're talking about telling everybody that they can put their own street car and learn how to drive it on a racetrack. And today's cars, are coming out and they're so capable that you can't really extract everything out of it legally on the street. So the only way to really do that is on the track. So I tend to believe that there are more people doing it now. They're just more spread out.
Yeah, well, we didn't have HPDEs back then. You had to have a race car. There was no take your street car out.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe the number of people since HPDE didn't exist 30 years ago, you got to figure the number of people that went out there and raced and thought, well, I really like this, but man, it sure is expensive, and the commitment.
Yeah.
Oh, if I can come out and only do it 2 or 3 times a year and not have to get quite as prepared, and I don't have to worry about certifications and roll cages and all that other stuff,
and a truck and a trailer to haul it, and all that other stuff.
I can just drive my street car here and show up and buy a helmet for a couple $100, and the rest of it, the car stock, a couple little things just to make sure from a maintenance standpoint, your brake pads, your fluid, and I'm just going to go out and have a more casual time. If that didn't exist before, your choice was either do nothing or go sort of all in, whereas now you have that middle ground.
So I'm curious, because you were there from the beginning and you saw the emergence of HPDE clubs.
Right.
You saw the rise of, especially in South Florida, of PBOC, NASA,
in the beginning
Chin.
of BMW Club, we used to do it too. We had performance driving events as well.
So tell me a little bit about that. I'm really curious. When did HPDE come into the picture, and who brought it into the picture?
I think PCA was probably one of the first ones to do it.
Oh, yeah?
And in BMW Club, we started doing it. I'm trying to remember what year that would have been.
And before that got started, was autocross a thing?
There was autocross.
Okay.
And it was much bigger too. There were more people doing that because you couldn't take your car on the track.
Right. But now, you got to figure there's a number of people. Like, I've never done an autocross event. My first introduction.
Autocross is you stand out in the sun all day for 3 minutes of track time.
Right. Yeah.
And you got to be on right now when you hit the button. There's no take a couple laps and figure it out.
Right. There's no warm-up laps.
No warm-up laps, no walk the course, none of that stuff. You go.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nerd sport, really, because those guys got a different brain than we do.
All right, so PCA were probably the ones that initiated the whole HPDE experience. I want to hear from your perspective. Like, when you started seeing, the Chins and the PBOCs, like, What was that like? Did you see it as a sort of a welcoming thing?
I think so, yeah. I think it's great. I think more people that come into the sport, no matter what they're doing, is great. You know, I was in right seat instructor for quite a while, and people don't even want to do that anymore because you get somebody that goes out and they buy a 600 horsepower car, and they don't want to listen to you. You can very easily end up in the wall,
Right.
and people have.
Yes, for sure.
So you know, it's the right seat guys are few and far between.
Yeah, we had. I'm not going to out anybody here, but and one of our recent registrations, you know, we ask people, hey, what is your experience level to try and make sure, okay, do they need an instructor? Do they not need an instructor? If they do need an instructor, obviously, you know, we're going to put somebody that maybe has only instructed a couple of events with somebody that has never been to the track before. Whereas if somebody is, you know, looking for a little bit more advanced coaching, we're going to put them with somebody that's a little bit more senior instructor. So we always ask for the amount of experience that people have. In one of our recent registrations, the person under experience put street hooning. So I thought to myself, well, good luck to this instructor. So I guess I'm going to draw some. Make them draw straws, and whoever gets the short straw is getting the street hooning.
Those used to be the guys that always give me, they've always give me the problem.
To his
every
credit,
time.
though, to that driver's credit, he did register for the right group.
Correct.
Typically, when we see something like that, they register for like
advanced
solo, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've got 30 years of experience driving on the street.
My hope is that he was doing it sort of half in jest and that he was kidding, and we'll find out.
Yeah,
Well, we had a guy, BMW school at Sebring, and he was an ambulance driver. So I know how to drive. I drive ambulance on the street all day. I know what I'm doing. I don't even need to be here. You guys, I don't need an instructor. I'm good. We're like, okay.
Right.
Second session, he put it on the door in the hairpin.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't see him anymore. He went away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. That's something that we talk about on the show is that we don't want people to have that experience because they usually don't come back.
No.
And like you said, the sport is always in need of more drivers, and I think that's part of the reason why the community is so welcoming because we realize like we want to have fun with other people out there, so we want more people to come out. So we don't want anybody to go out there and just have a bad day.
No.
You know?
It's not ideal because they tell their friends,
Right. Yeah. No, and it very much is a word of mouth thing, right? Social media,
Oh,
that people
for
are
sure.
posting their laps, that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think SCCA is growing, stagnant, or dying in Florida?
unfortunately, I got to say, I think it's dying.
Yeah, and why do you think that is?
Well, there's other things they can do. You can take your boat out and go fishing. You can go to the baseball game, the football game.
There's so much to do
go
down here.
golfing. There's a million things you can do.
But that was always the case in South Florida, though.
Well, there's more people down here now. I think there's more interaction around other things. But it's also like we were saying, it's expensive.
Yeah.
If you have a dedicated race car, now you have to have a truck, you have to have a trailer, you have to have a place to keep it, you have to work on it. It's not easy, as you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's less and less people doing it. For us, for SCCA, I'm on the board of SCCA as well. And we make all our money for the whole year on the majors the first of the year because we'll get 230, 240 cars. Because the first major of the year, everybody comes down here to get points. And that pays for, because we lose money on every other race that we run. We'll lose $20,000, $30,000 on every race
That's crazy.
from our end of the world.
And was it always like that? I'm thinking in terms of track fees, like the cost to rent the track.
Oh, yeah.
It's astronomical now.
Homestead just this year bumped it $5,000 a year.
I know.
$5,000 an event.
I know.
Yeah,
Because
you know.
I hear from the FARA ownership, they
Yeah.
tell me how much it costs.
Well, and then you get tracks like Coda that I've heard that the track fees that Coda charges are like
I think it's like 30
twice as
grand.
much as, Sebring or something like
Yeah.
that.
I heard there's a lot of events that aren't going to happen now because it's just too expensive.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, as being involved with the organization that puts it together, obviously, this is not a charitable
Yeah.
thing that they're running here, right? They've got to make money. So as participation, if that starts to wane while at the same time the tracks are increasing their rates, something's got to give eventually.
I recently, I think it was this week, I put out the challenge. I made a short about the challenge for street racers, and where I basically challenged them to bring it to the racetrack, and if they turn a faster lap than Mike or myself, then I'll give them free track days for the rest of the year. It actually had a relatively warm reception, But one of the comments that I saw on TikTok, it kind of stood out, and somebody was saying that it would help if it wasn't so expensive, which is very valid. It's a valid point. It's expensive just for the track fees, right? And somebody mentioned also that in California, I don't know where, I don't know how true this is, but they were saying that they were doing track days for $175, something like that. Like if we were able to do that, I would do it all day long because it invites more people to come and try out the sport. But it's just with these track fees, I'm telling you, it's $15,000-$20,000 a day. I think Sebring's even
plus the ambulance, plus the
corner
workers, plus the emergency services,
insurance. Like it adds up. So there's no way that we could charge that little unless we can somehow generate 200 cars.
Yeah.
Well, and then it becomes a space issue, right? You can put, I can't imagine what the quality of the track is that they can get away with only charging $175 and not losing a whole lot of money.
And then the other factor is, instructors, right? And you mentioned, instructors is our bottleneck, right? And we live and die by the number of instructors that we have available. I don't think it's just FARA. This is every organization.
Oh, yeah, it's everybody.
In order to keep generating and bringing in new drivers, we need to train them. And to train them, we need instructors. Right. And I think to your point, a lot of instructors are basically saying, I'm done with this. I think the cars are just getting too fast.
Yeah.
And I think people are coming to the realization that this could end badly at any moment.
Well, and I think another factor there is the amount of money that it costs to go, right? You just mentioned, a track out in California where you can go for $175. So if I'm an instructor and I say to myself, all right, well, I can either pay $175 and not risk my life sitting in the right seat with somebody that has never, that I don't know, maybe it's not worth saving $175 to do that. Now, if the track fee is $500, suddenly, maybe it is worth me volunteering my time for those track fees. But if it was $20, you're not getting anybody to sit in the right seat, right?
Personally, as an instructor, I love seeing that light bulb come on.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's just the best thing there is.
Yeah, there are, instructors fall into a wide group of people, but by and large, there are those that do it because they're volunteering their time so that they don't have to pay the track fee. And there are those that are doing it, like you and I and Carlos, that you get that. There's a point where, especially before I started competing in SLS, I almost got more enjoyment out of instructing than I did driving, because when you see that light bulb go off and you can see that smile behind, they get out and they're giving you high fives and stuff when they realize just what the car is capable of and all that they've learned over the course of the day, that really does it for it.
Yeah.
I think
where
also
we really see it is like you have the street survival shirt on. That it's, I don't know if anybody knows that's a teen driving program. Of course, that we do at BMW Club. And a lot of the kids, it's this whole day Saturday. They have to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. They can't use their phone all day. They can't hang out with their friends. They don't want to be there. Somebody made them go. That's at about 9:30, 10 o'clock. By about 1 or 2, they're like, oh, this is fun. Let me go do it again. I love it. Mm-hmm. And it's great to see that happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and
that's one of those programs that it's one of my favorite things that the club does, the BMW CCA club does. There are other issues that I'd actually like to bring up regarding the BMW CCA, but to close the point on the instructor thing, I like instructing. I think a lot of instructors also feel this way. They can vicariously live through that student for that first track day, because you only get your first once, right? And so trying to relive that through a student, I think it's so great, because you feel it. You feel the energy, that they're like, this is amazing. This is the greatest thing that I've done in I don't know how long. And you as an instructor, you're part of that. You're part of that experience.
Absolutely.
And it's a high, and I think that's one of the reasons why instructors keep doing it.
Yeah, for sure. To watch somebody go from that sort of nervous panic, oh my God, this is terrifying, I don't have any idea what I'm doing, to having that level of confidence at the end. Even that little bit that a beginner gains over that first day is tremendous.
And the way the student, that driver, like, when they know that it was because of you, the instructor, that they were able to get to that point in a relatively short amount of time, from the morning to the afternoon or from Saturday to Sunday, they're a completely different driver. And they turn to you and they look at you and they say, thank you. That was amazing.
Yep.
And you know that thank you was directed to you because you made that happen as an instructor.
Yeah, they know that they could not have accomplished that without you, and
Right.
it's a great feeling. Yeah, and I love it's one of the things I enjoy most after we do an event. We send out an email afterwards and we ask both the instructor for feedback on the student to make sure that we put them in the right group next time, but we also ask the students for feedback on their instructors. And the majority of times they'll provide at least a sentence or two, and I always take that and forward it to the instructors for saying, hey man, here's your virtual pat on the back. Person loved it. They said, hey, if I want to come to the next event, can I, please hook me up. I got one today where the guy just signed up yesterday and he said, oh, can you pair me with Jerry? Because I went with him last time and it was awesome.
I love reading those, and I'm glad that you CC me on them. I would say 9 times out of 10, that student requests that instructor
Absolutely.
over again, which is a compliment. But at the same time, this as a chief instructor, you want them to have a different experience with a different instructor. So as much as we'd like to, oblige, we're be cutting them short.
You get to a point where it definitely is a benefit to have somebody different sit the right seat. Now, if somebody's coming for an event and they're coming both days, I think from a consistency standpoint, like you're learning so much from day 0 to day 2 that there's a big benefit to having that same voice and that same. But yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Once you get to day, 4 or 5, if they aren't solo yet at that point in time, there's definitely, everybody has different learning techniques. Everybody has different learning styles. Mixing it up a little bit, definitely a benefit to have. Look, there's more than one way around the track, right? So the different instructor is going to take a little bit of a different approach with people, and there's absolutely a benefit to doing it.
Well, we've swapped instructors in the day too, because one guy doesn't, the instructor comes, I can't deal with this guy, the student, I can't deal with this guy. Swap them around, give them to somebody else, and everything works.
Yeah, and the majority of times we have had that same experience, and in the overwhelming majority of times, it's not like the student was wrong and the instructor was right or vice versa. It's just sometimes people just have personality conflict. You just have different communication styles, and like I said, it's not that one of them was right and one of them was wrong. You switch it, they both have a great day. Look, we want everybody to have a great time, right? The instructors and the beginners, because we want both of them to come back.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the BMW CCA, which is the Car Club of America.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I mentioned, and I'm wearing the shirt, the Street Survival, I helped you guys as a coach. I love that program. Rennie already talked a little bit about it. Basically, they bring teenagers out, and it's almost like the way that we did Chin, like a taste of the track. So we do some slalom exercises. I think we do some threshold braking.
Well, the first thing you did is threshold braking.
Yeah.
Because we want them to feel what the ABS feels like when the first time they hit it. A lot of the experiences we want them to not to be the first time on the road when they see it. So ABS braking, ABS and turning. Then they'll get a classroom instruction, which is me. And then the next one they do is the slalom, like you said. Because I've had, I used to be a car instructor for a long time before I moved to the classroom. And they'd just leave the car and drive. And I said, put it in first. Well, am I allowed to do that? Like, yeah, you can do that. It's okay. They put it in first, and then they can feel the car engine braking and slowing down. And so I'm like, wow, that's totally different. Like, yeah, imagine that.
We also did some skid pad exercises.
That's the last one of the days, the wet skid pad.
Yeah,
That's the
where
best.
they get to feel the difference between understeering and oversteer.
Well, we teach them how to catch a wet skid.
Right.
So they're not on 95 somewhere the first time it happens to them.
They just panic.
80% of them nail the brakes every single time. It's like, don't do that.
Yep.
So you teach them that, and you know they're going to be a better driver.
For sure.
You're going to save them a whole bunch of, it's going to save their life, in fact, just because they do it better.
And is this event still go on? And do you use Sebring as a venue because of the
that's a
skid
different
pad?
chapter up there.
Done in FIU, right? Or
No,
somewhere
we
in there?
run Miami-Dade College North,
That's
which is
right.
actually the police training compound.
Oh,
So it's great. It's got everything we want.
oh,
It's
that's
got the skid pad. It's got a classroom. It's got bleachers because the parents come.
yeah. That's what I wasn't aware that anybody other than Sebring had a skid pad, but obviously the police.
That's actually the hardest thing. If we could find more venues, we'd run more schools.
From what I remember at that school, it was, I guess, just anecdotally, it was kind of funny being an instructor with a teenager, and I could feel either the understeer or the oversteer well before they ever did, because they're not familiar. They're just learning how to drive, really. And so I remember one of the students, like I think the rear end was kicking out, and I was like, counter steer, and it was just such a slow, like, oh, I have to go the other way. And by that time, it was already too late. But like, we take that for granted, just all the experience that we have as drivers. But you see it with a brand new driver, 16-year-old, and they're like, oh, I guess I got to go the other way, and it's already too late. Right. But that's the place to do it, not on the highway.
Right, to Randy's point, so that when they start hydroplaning on I-95 the first time, they're just like, oh, yeah, this feels familiar, and I'm going to turn into it, and
And the other funniest thing is the girls are usually better students.
Oh, yeah? What do you think that is?
Quicker. I think they listen more.
Well,
because I think the guys already think that they know what they're doing.
Right.
I don't need, but the girls listen to you and they do what you tell them, and they turn out to be better students.
Well, and especially at that age, right? Everybody knows the girls mature faster, and the boys are the hard-headed goobers that don't know what the hell is going on. And
boys,
I'm not going to listen to you, just like I wouldn't listen to my dad. Whereas the girls are a little bit like, okay, I'm going to go into this. I'm a little bit more cautious, so I'm going to actually listen to what my teacher has to say.
Yeah. So absolutely great program. Encourage anybody to take their kids, to that one.
We're looking at, I think, mid-November for one right now.
When they're of driving age.
Want to drive on a real racetrack but don't have a car? Velocity Track Experience offers track-ready car rentals for HPDE and racing. Whether you're flying in from out of state, out of the country, or you want full track support without worrying about prep, maintenance, or transport, this is your arrive and drive solution. From an agile Mazda MX-5 to a fully prepped BMW race car, Velocity provides everything you need to hit the track with confidence, including expert support and optional coaching. Just book your favorite track car, show up, and drive. Go to velocitytrackexperience.com and start your track adventure today.
To that, I do have a gripe with the BMW CCA.
Well, what is it?
So I had forgotten about this entirely. Of course, as I'm putting together the draft for the episode, like I remembered it. I was like, oh yeah. And I started getting angry again when I remembered it. So here it is. I'll give it to you. I was a member of the CCA for a couple of years, and I had started with another guy. We started Florida Bimmers, a BMW club. And we wanted to do, driving. We wanted to do rallies. We wanted to do, I mentioned this a couple of times on the show, we wanted to do track days. And so I started bringing up some of these ideas to the club. And they were just pretty much like, no, we're not going to do that. And so I thought, okay, instead of complaining about it, I'm not the kind to sit there and complain. Why not just try to change the culture? So I went for a board position. I had already 2 years that I was eligible to be a board member. And it's just a matter of getting the votes and you become a board member. So I went after that. And I believe the other guy that owned Florida Bimmers with me went after another position. And then the president at that time, which I'm not going to mention her name.
Yeah, we don't know who that was.
She reaches out to me with this scolding email telling me that I know what you're doing. You want to infiltrate us, essentially, and misuse the chapter's funds, so you can go and do these fun things and this and that. Like, she was accusing me of all these things, when in reality, the purpose for me wanting to bring sort of a new blood to this is we already had several hundred members, Florida Bimmers, and I would say more than half didn't even know what BMW CCA was. So I was like, you know what? I can introduce them. Why have members here, members there? Let's just bring them all together under one umbrella, and we can do all these different events. And so essentially, my desire to go for a board position was shut down by one member. She was the judge, jury, and executioner. And I got such a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, really? This is the way that a club runs? Like, I can't imagine that it's growing based on what I saw.
Yeah, she's not there anymore. She went away.
Yeah, but it's that mentality. I think it still lingers.
That's why we wanted her to go away, because you were not the only one. If she didn't like it, if it wasn't her idea, that wasn't it. It was done. Because I said, listen, Carlos here is going to help us. He's going to bring us all these people. We're going to do this cool. It's going to be great. He's going to be, but he's going to bring non-members in, and he's going to spend. so.
Isn't that how you?
And then you make
that's how you grow.
Isn't the goal to bring non-members in to grow the membership?
So
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
So yeah, man, I was like really upset, and I
was on your side.
I know you were. I know you were because you're a former racer,
Yeah.
So I know Rennie was gonna, be on my side, but I was, thinking about it now years later, I realized that it wasn't so much what was done to me. It was more about, I think, just wasted potential, right? Like we could have done something really great with that club. And the club used to be like a big thing, BMW CCA. Like you mentioned, they had club racing here in Florida. Like it's become less and less. I wonder why, with that sort of mentality, if that's the way that you're treating newer members, younger members, at the time I was, quite younger. I wish they would change that mentality because I would imagine, I haven't been back in several years, but I imagine that it's still sort of, the older types that don't really care to do, track days or anything like that.
We want to do stuff like that. Like you said, I'm the president. I get to talk about stuff like that and see if I can make it happen. I'd love to do that stuff. But as we were talking about before, it's become prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
There's no way we could run Homestead for 30 cars. It would kill us.
And the other thing I also realize is the whole liability and insurance bit, right? I remember years ago, before I got my agency started like full time, I got a position in a Fortune 500 company. It was my first one working in that size. And I realized like I don't ever want to work with a company this big because any decision, it was like trying to move this gigantic robot in a different direction, and it took meeting after meeting with different departments to just try to change the color of the banner on a website or something stupid like that. I was like, this is dumb. Like I like being quick about things, making quick decisions, and implementing those changes. And that's kind of the way that I felt the BMW CCA chapter was. It's like change was very, very difficult, and they were very reluctant to accept any kind of change.
At that time, you're 100% correct.
So it's changed.
Yeah. I only have 4 other board members and me.
Good.
So it's a lot less people, a lot less stuff to deal with.
Good.
And where does the region go to and from geographically
we go
speaking?
all the way across the state, and we go far north as, I think, Indian River County.
Oh, okay.
So we're pretty big.
So like Lake Okeechobee South, kind of?
Yeah, we're
further north
we're
than
at
that.
1,500 members. We're pretty good.
Okay, so all the way up to Melbourne type?
Yeah. I don't know if there's another one, Sunshine Bimmers up there.
Vero, something like that.
Yeah.
So where I was going with that, as far as the insurance and liability, I know that's also a big hurdle because I've been talking to Brian Jacobs. He's the chapter president with the PCA here. So trying to get that chapter to do like a track day, oh my goodness. Even if it's a joint event, they have to specifically say, this is not a PCA event. We're doing this in conjunction with somebody else and so forth, And I know that BMW CCA is probably not that much different than that.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Well, I don't know, Rennie. I remember you invited me to a barbecue not long ago.
Yeah.
I came across it. My daughter and I were riding bicycles at a Murakami Park.
Up again this year, so same place.
And I came and I saw all these BMWs, and I was like, oh, what's going on over here? So,
My people. Right?
yeah, I rode my bike over there with my daughter, and there was Rennie. I was like, oh, it's a barbecue, so come on in, like have some food. So I started walking up there, and somebody, a woman, I don't know who it was, she's like, oh, stop. Did you sign the waiver? I'm like, for waiver?
Yeah,
For
a picnic.
We have to have waivers for that.
goodness. So
Yeah.
my point is like running with FARA, like we welcome other organizations like BMW CCA and PCA. I'm actively speaking with Brian about trying to get some of those guys to run with us, and I think what's helping is us changing the culture within of FARA. Now that it's much safer, it's run a lot more efficiently and safer. Clubs like PCA and hopefully BMW CCA are more apt to want to participate with us, knowing that their members are going to be treated well.
Well, and isn't that sort of, I'm imagining that's how PBOC first started, right? That there wasn't quite enough interest from the PCA side to be able to get a whole PCA specific event, and there wasn't enough interest on the BMW
Probably.
CCA side. So the two groups came together and said, well, we can spawn this other thing that doesn't have as much politics involved, because if we can get the field with half PCA members and half BMW CCA members, then maybe we can actually bring enough people that we can not lose money.
It's a good point.
That was a Bob Varela thing that started PBOC, because PCA existed and BMW Club existed at the same time. And people got siphoned off from both clubs to run that.
Right.
So it was another organization where you could run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think to your point, there's less of that national oversight and liability.
It was pretty much him, and that was that.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna run the show the way that we want to, and I thought they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he did.
All right,
it's your point with the insurance. Through national, if I want to have, like when we do Target 66, it's free insurance. I just put in a form and it's free. We just have to get the waivers.
right,
So as long as we get the waivers, the national will support it.
right.
And even if you want to do a driving event, it's a minimal amount of money.
Well, I'll tell you this here live as we're recording.
Yeah.
If you guys wanted to do something with FARA, and essentially, if you could bring, let's say, 15, 20 cars of your members,
Yeah.
we would give you your own run group.
Okay.
And that way, you guys are running, your members are running at the same time.
Yeah.
As long as you provide your own instructors for them, like we can make something like that happen. I want to make sure that everybody is getting their fill for track days, and they don't have to go searching somewhere else for it.
Yeah. No, I'm all for it. I get people asking, are we ever going to do any track events? You're opening this up to us. It's awesome. We could do that.
Yeah. So anyways, that's something we can have a discussion on, offline.
Sure.
Let's transition over to EVs versus gas-powered vehicles. Do you think that EVs will eventually just kill the gas-powered engine?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I mean, you're even seeing it now where a lot of manufacturers are walking back their EV programs. Like Mercedes and Chevy we're going to be all EV by 2030. Well, that went away. Mercedes was so into it that now Mercedes is going to buy engines from BMW because they don't have new engines for their cars. And BMW has the specs that they want. So I think hybrids will come around.
Yeah.
Because that makes way more sense than a pure EV.
Well, and you just saw a huge shift talking about manufacturers from Porsche, right? Porsche, they had come out, and for years they had been saying the Boxster Cayman is coming to an end, right? 2025 is going to be the end. I think production ends in like 3 weeks or something. And they just last week announced that supposedly they were moving to all those that platform is going to be all EV.
Right.
And they just announced at their latest investor call just a few days ago that they're going to bring the next generation 718 Boxster and Cayman.
Right.
They're going to bring the top level trim models are going to continue to have a combustion engine because everything is just falling flat on its face. I believe that there's a time and a place for EVs. We have one, and it's a terrible one. But if it wasn't for the fact that it wasn't terrible, we would enjoy the ownership experience. If you're just running around town and stuff.
Oh yeah.
My girls have one, and part of that was I know that my girls are never going to have to go to a gas station at 1 o'clock in the morning if they're on their way back from the club, right? They can always just come straight home. Now, obviously, they have to be responsible enough to make sure the car is charged enough.
Right.
But, as battery technology gets better, once you get to a point where you can have an EV that has 400 miles of range and it can charge in 7 minutes instead of the 25, 30, 35 does now, then it will become, it'll make a lot more sense.
Oh, for sure. You see these guys that do cross-country trips, and they have to find a charger, and half the time they find one, it doesn't work.
And it adds like 2 days to the trip.
Yeah, and they're sweating trying to get to the next place.
I think we're going to get to that place, whether it's electric vehicles or hydrogen vehicles, which I'd love to get into that with you, but unfortunately we're running out of time. I remember
drove the BMW Hydrogen 7.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Whatever happened? Just give me a synopsis of why that never took off.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
There's no hydrogen station. The closest hydrogen station is at Cape Canaveral at that point.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. They're great cars. They're safe. They're fast. They make more power, but there's no infrastructure. You can't fill it up.
I would imagine that there's probably not a lot of money to be made there also.
Hydrogen gas stations, or not gas stations, but yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest, I think, fallback is that there's not a lot of money to be made, so let's not push that one. With EVs, there's the batteries, there's a lot of stuff, components that you can make a lot of money from.
Oh yeah.
I still believe that at some point, probably within our lifetime, especially with the rise of autonomous vehicles, I think we're going to be sitting down with our grandchildren one day, and they're going to be asking us what it was like to drive a car.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's going to come a point where kids just don't want to. We're seeing it already.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to drive. They don't need to drive because there's Uber. Autonomous vehicles are going to be on the rise, and people are just going to call for a vehicle. I think soon you're probably not going to even own a vehicle. You're just going to have like a lease, kind of like Netflix, where you just rent whatever movie you want. You just choose the car you want, and it comes and picks you up. So I don't think that we're going to outlive that. I think we're going to be telling our kids that we used to race cars.
Right. Well, there are just like there are different instructors. Some that do it for the free track time, and some do it because they love it. There are people that don't see driving as a pure way to get from point A to point B, right? If you told the majority of the population, I go to a racetrack and I drive around in a closed circuit and I spend hundreds of dollars doing it and hours, and I sweat and it stuff breaks and it's miserable and I hate everything about it, other than the fact that it's awesome, they'd look at you like you were a crazy person.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when cars took over for horses. Everybody said, there'll be no more horses. They're all going to be gone. You won't be able to see them. And then people have leisure horses. There's more of them now than there were then. So it may go the same way with cars. Yeah, the guy that goes to work every day, he walks out, there's a car, it takes him to work, then it goes and takes somebody else to work.
Yeah.
But don't
On the
be a
weekend.
track. Like you've seen all the country club tracks that are coming around now. So there'll be P1, there'll be Motor Enclave, there'll be Concourse Club, and that's where you'll go drive.
That's crazy, man. We have a handful of private tracks now, and there's another one close to Jacksonville that's being built.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there, because I've heard mixed reviews of, like how is Flat Rock doing and how is, the what is it, Circuit Florida? Or,
that's the new one.
Right, like you would think that at some point in time that's going to become a supply and demand issue. Where that point is.
Well, when it does, it'll open it up to more like people like us.
Right. Well, yeah. When they can't sell.
Hey.
Yeah. They run out of people to drop down $200,000 a year to do it and to build a $3 million home. Then
All right, Rennie. We are under 10 minutes, so we're going to do a rapid fire segment, and hopefully we can crank these out really, really quickly.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, rapid fire questions. Here we go. Which teaches you more, wrenching on a BMW for 50 years or racing them?
It's two different skills. I think you learn more wrenching on them.
Yeah?
You know the insides, you know what they do. So when you're driving it, you can feel stuff and go, crap, I got to do this or I got to do that. You know what the sounds are. You know what's going to happen. All
right, that makes sense. What's more political, SCCA rules meetings or a BMW CCA boardroom?
SCCA for sure.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Those old gray-haired guys are doing this for years.
All right. What's aged worse, BMW cooling systems or BMW club politics?
Probably cooling systems.
Oh, yeah?
Sounds like...
Well, let's say a B46 and a B58, right? It's in the newer cars. At about 80 to 100,000 miles, the oil filter housing starts to leak because it's plastic.
Yeah.
It's underneath the intake manifold.
There's a lot of plastic on those engines.
8 hours of labor to do that.
That's crazy.
So you bring your B58 in, I got a coolant leak. Oh, well, that'll be $3,500. What?
Yeah.
And that's the way they are.
That's nuts. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that it sounded like based on the recent changes with the aforementioned person that's no longer in charge there, it sounds like it's probably, that's actually getting better, whereas the cooling systems are getting worse.
Right, because I'm running it now.
Right.
Way better.
All right. I know you've run a lot of endurance races back in your day.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have, I think, now 2 standing questions that I like to ask endurance racers. And so here we go. Here's the first one. 1 hour into a 2-hour stint, would you rather fight brake fade or bowel fade?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Your crew would much rather have you have brake fade, that's for sure.
I would imagine so.
The dry cleaner certainly would.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. I'm going to pick brake fade.
All right, that's 3 for 3. That's the answer that people usually go with. Okay, more embarrassing, running out of gas or running out of talent?
Oh, talent for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've run out of gas before. It's not a big deal.
You didn't care?
Because you can blame it on the crew chief. If it's not you, you can blame, hey, you don't have enough gas in the car.
The gauge must have been broken. That's not my fault.
There you go. All right, looking back on your life, what is the one thing you would do differently if given the chance?
That's a toughie.
You would have started in a Porsche, obviously.
Oh, no. No P cars. We don't like those. It's really hard to say. I really don't have a good answer for that.
Right.
I've had a pretty good time and I've done pretty well, so I can't really complain.
That's a good answer.
Great attitude.
All right, number 7. In the evolution of BMW, which era's cars were total crap?
Oh, the E65, E66, 7 Series. Absolutely.
Which years were those?
Those were, when did those pieces of crap come out? Right about 2001.
No, so the heyday of the 3 Series and the M3 was a low point for the larger cars.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Imagine that.
That was just a junk. Just
All right,
terrible.
number 8. Is there a European brand better than BMW?
Of course not.
Well, I mean, let's not get carried away. Just haphazardly throw out an answer. Let's give it some thought.
Well, you might be as
You
biased
sure
as
you don't want to think about that one?
You got a problem going there.
All right, number 9. Has anyone ever come to your shop and asked you to replace or refill the blinker fluid on their car?
BMW riders don't use blinkers. We don't know anything about that. Of
course.
They don't work.
That's an excellent point, actually.
Great answer. All right, number 10. What is your all-time favorite BMW and why?
Depends on what I'm doing with it, but I'm going to have to say an M3 of any generation.
Oh, yeah.
They all have their little quirks and nuances. The 30 M3s, obviously, everybody loves those, but they're terrible street cars.
All right, so let's dive into that one like super quick.
All
If
right.
it's the M3, what generation would you take?
I'm going to have to say the E90 series
Really?
with the V8. Yeah.
That's a fun car.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
They got lots of
2007 to
Yeah.
12 or something like that?
13. 13.
Yeah.
That's what Trevor and Rohan and you have, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What sold me on that car was the DCT. Just the shifts were just
It's good.
lightning for that
Speaking of
time.
which, the SMG is terrible. So
Yeah, I went from an SMG, which I later on converted to a manual, and I was like,
Right.
"Oh, this is the way to do it." But then when I tested the DCT on that
that's
car,
a whole other thing.
amazing. All right,
It's almost as good as PDC.
Almost. Right. That's what most people think. Anytime you're comparing anything to a Porsche, that's what most people end up saying is it's almost as good.
yeah.
So you just skip all that problem and go to what the best is.
All right, we're gonna move on to our last segment, which is the guest challenge.
Right.
This is where you have a chance to challenge 2 of your friends to come on the podcast. So if you want to look right into your camera and lay down the challenge.
All right. Am I doing this right? Yeah. Okay. First guy is going to be Kenny Bear. He's a fun guy. He can tell stories for 3 hours. He's an old Sports 2000 racer and also a former smuggler. So he's got stories that you can tell forever. He knows all the big guys. He did all this stuff back then. He even wrote a book on it. So
Awesome.
it's going to be my first choice.
What's the next guy?
Next guy's going to be Greg Ira. Greg's a good guy, too. He is a 3-time SCCA national champion, 2 times in a 240Z Datsun and once in a Z4 from Prather. And he can tell you all kinds of stories. And his brother is also a multi-time national champion. So he's really good at it.
All right, there you go, guys. The challenge has been laid down by Rennie. If you guys are interested in coming on the podcast, simply go to offtheracinglineline.com, fill out the form, and let us know when you want to come in. Just know that we are fully booked like 3 or 4 months out. So
Very popular.
be thinking about, next year. But we'd love to have you anyway. So just fill out the form and let us know. With that is all the time that we have. Rennie's been fantastic talking to you and listening to
you as well. Thanks for having me.
these stories. Mike, thank you for being here again. And remember, everything interesting happens off the racing line. See you guys next time.
Everything interesting happens off the racing line. I took the hard road, I've earned these stripes. The road from dreamer to driver ain't all I lost some time but found my name. Pressure made a diamond out of me. I've arrived and I brought receipts. Wrote my truth between the scars and his peace to say, look, I've earned this seat off the racing line where my story begins. Voices scream, break, I burned past the cones. Storms behind me, focus on the next turn. I've carved a path where none existed, built from the bruises most people resisted. Now every mile